Hi, I'm Tim Chown from the University of Southampton. There's some slides on the UKNOF site that you can look at about this subject, but I'm hopefully here just going to try and give you a quick demo of a new site that exists to monitor IPv6 deployment. So there's a number of such sites out there, and there's a couple of nice catalogue sites that list some of the sites monitoring IPv6 deployment. So there's one at the World IPv6 launch site, and there's one if you search for RIPE IPv6 measurement. There's another one there that Marianne Kuhn keeps up to date as well. So there's a couple of nice lists there. But they tend to be very sort of static, I wouldn't say dry, but there's no interactivity to those stats that you can see, nor are the stats there, nor is the data that produces those stats generally made publicly available. So what we were trying to do with this site, the IPv6 Matrix.org, is to take something that was created 3 or 4 years ago in the University of Nile in Egypt and to develop that into something that's got more of a slick presentation and is the sort of thing you can show people that might be interested in just getting a visualization of how IPv6 is being deployed and to be able to interact with that visualization, just to build something like that. Unfortunately, the University of Nile, obviously they had the Arab Spring, so the measuring IPv6 deployment became probably their lowest priority. The servers that were there that they developed were moved to Telehouse. The crawling behind the measurements was still happening. So what happens is we use the Alexa top 1 million list and we download that list and do DNS lookups against all those domains. So that's been crawled for the last 3 or 4 years. So you have 3 or 4 years worth of data. The question is how to present that. So I'm now going to probably crash and burn horribly by trying to do a live demo here.
Very much so.
Oh, why? What's happened? Well, okay. Let's just maximize this out a bit. Damn you, Firefox. Where's Safari when I want you? There we go. So this is basically what you have. I've never used it under Firefox before. So this was done actually by a group of 4th year MN students at our university. So one of the messages here is that there are a lot of quite good students out there, and if you speak to universities that you work with, you may find that on the degree programs there are group project work that are done between students and external customers where you can get something like this prototype. Now this is just an example of something a bit flashier. We do other projects with networking, with authentication systems, etc. So it's a sort of a subliminal message here for you to think about maybe working with universities to get little bits of work done. The labour is completely free. You just act as a customer. At least in our model at Southampton, we run 30 of these group design projects, as they're called, and they all produce a prototype of something over 10 weeks with a customer that could be someone like you guys out there. So that's one lesson from this. I was a bit nervous about I am definitely going to crash and burn here, so I shall keep going. So this is just the main view of the site. It's a little bit hard to see with the contrast on that projector, but what it's showing you is the visualization of the crawler's results over time on a globe there. And that's using the D3 JavaScript library. The students' work uses about 10 different JavaScript libraries as part of that. Because it uses D3, if you're using a slightly older browser, particularly Internet Explorer, then it will probably just crash and burn, which might be why someone screamed from the corner over there. But in general, it's okay. It's still a prototype, but we're advertising it here in this slot just for you guys, anyone interested in V6 deployment, to look at this, interact with it, and to give us some feedback. And if you've got some feedback, just send it to feedback@IPv6Matrix.org. So there's the main view. If you want to just then click in on a specific country, you can do that. So here, for example, you can see the host percentage of deployment by country over time. So remember, again, this isn't about access networks like John Brzozowski was talking about. This is about content providers putting stuff up, and it's looking through the Alexa top 1 million. So what it's looking for there are things like web servers, MX relays, NTP servers, that type of information, and the number of hosts from what it looks up that have V6 support and that may be dual stack if they've got V4. So here you're seeing the host percentage by country over time split up. You can come down and sort by TLD if you want to instead. So here it's showing you the percentage of overall of host support by top-level domains. So .com there is quite dominant. So you can come down and actually see the data behind it. You can sort by columns here. So if I come over here, I can sort by columns. So the in-joke here is that BT has the leading deployment of IPv6 in the world, but unfortunately that's a country, not BT. But 63%, but of course that's just 53 hosts out of 84 there. Then you can look at stuff like dual stack deployment and see how that's changed over time, over the last 3 years. You can go down specifically into domains here and see what sort of support there is for web servers, DNS name servers, MX relays, NTP servers. And I think down here, I'm not sure how robust this is, but you can pick out certain TLDs. So if you wanted to look at just the UK, you could just come down here and just pick .uk here. And then at the top, search by top-level domain then, and then you see .uk overall. Then you see for the top 1 million Alexa websites, anything that ends .uk, 1.6% of them are v6 enabled. For the name servers, quite surprisingly high, 16%. MX relays, about 8%. NTP servers, a very tiny amount. So it allows you to navigate through the data and pick what you want to look at and interact with it a little bit more. So that's what makes it, we believe, quite interesting. So the last thing here I'd just like to highlight, because I think it's a very important part of this, is that we're making all the data from this available in a variety of formats. Some of you may have heard of Open Data and what that involves. It's the Open Data Institute, the data.gov.uk site. So here, if you want to, you can download JSON, XML, HTML, or CSV of the data that's being viewed there. So you can then go and process that, or hopefully if other people that are gathering IPv6 deployment data do similar things, you've then got the potential to mash up the data we've crawled here over the last 3 or 4 years with whatever it is you've got. So if you've got some BGP data or something that you can somehow correlate with this to produce a new visualization that wouldn't have been possible before, that could be a very good thing as well. So a sort of a call there for people, if you are producing this sort of measurement data, make it available in open, non-proprietary formats so that other people can process that data. So I think that's what I wanted to say. I think the takeaways here are, for this audience, one is you can work with universities to do some interesting things, and the student labour may come completely free of charge to you to prototype something, as was the case here. Secondly, I think this is a nice, interactive, and slightly flashy way to visualize IPv6 deployment, which might be useful to you to show to someone to get them interested in v6. And thirdly, if you are gathering data, please make it available in an open, non-proprietary format so that we might be able to do some sort of interesting mashups of the data. And if you've got any feedback, send it to feedback@IPv6matrix.org. And thanks to ISOC England for their help on this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.